Welcome back to MegaMan.EXE. So hey, a few weeks ago you were asking me why the file size for this episode was so huge. Well, here's answer number one. Also, hi. What kind of radiation is this? Yeah, good question. About the Gospel headquarters, why is it apparently in Kid Chameleon? Why is it just the green room effect for that game or whatever, the hollow room effect?
They managed to bring video game graphics into real life.
Alright, so, hi. Do you still have lungs or have those melted? Apparently the radiation is 30,000 times worse than whatever was expected, and I feel like what was expected was pretty bad. So, like, I don't know if anybody here is long for this world. Oh, this has got a jack in port though, so alright. Vending machine, go. So yeah, I feel like this is inadvertently the saddest end to a Battle Network game. Not because of anything they wrote on purpose, but yeah, no, like, this town is irradiated. Like, everybody had to evacuate, but there's also people here, and I can't see their parachutes, so I don't know if things are going to go well for them.
It really does feel like they wanted to raise the stakes, but weren't thinking about the sheer tragedy of it.
Yeah, that's kind of been the writing theme of this game, is they kind of just do whatever and don't really understand kind of the implications of what they're writing at any point. Also, God, somebody posted the only scene I know from the TV show Dinosaurs, which is the end of the TV show Dinosaurs. And yeah, no, I just thought of that in regards to this game as well.
Okay, but
just the way that ends.
That had a purpose. That was to instill a fear of global warming into the children watching. This is just fucked up for the sake of it. Also, lies, you know two things about dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, he's the baby. You've gotta love him. I understand that. But yeah, no. I can't walk where I want to because of the radiation.
What does that mean?
It's turning me into a crab man! But yeah, no, just the fact that this ends with just the news reporter, whose name is Hand Up Me, just saying goodbye, good night solemnly straight at the viewer, and I'm just like, man, that's what everybody's experiencing on the internet. Like, we've already seen posts about Kotobuki. We know somebody who was posting from there when the sky changed, and I think if the sky changes due to radiation, it's probably a little too late to leave. I think at that point, you're probably going to have a lifetime impairment at minimum.
Why is that programmed like that?
Did the other program explode or something? Like, this part, and I am going to spoil Mega Man Star Force a little bit here, but I did stream that one, so even if it is later on the timeline in this general series, I'm gonna mention it. I feel like that actually built up a really good solemn finale, where you're going through this old dead space station, and all the programs are just trying their best to keep up, even though they're not working for anybody anymore. And, like, that was earned.
Yeah.
They're actually going for something there, and it actually hits really well. Alright, well, let's, activate the elevator then. Ah, well, it's not working. Come on, elevator. For what reason could this possibly be non-functional? Hi.
Dex, the radiation.
Everyone, the radiation. What are you all doing here? Okay, but you're like B licenses. I never saw any of you go for any of the harder ones.
Holy shit. Lan actually mentioned the radiation.
Don't worry, they're all wearing special magwear. I cannot see it because your sprites are exactly the same, but I guess they're just invisible suits that lets Dex wear shorts in a radiated area.
I mean, Lan's sprite is also the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're all supposed to be wearing suits, and it's just like, alright, yeah. They're implied.
Do you think like a week before production was wrapping up, they were like, hey, so how are the sprites coming along for the mag suits?
The what?
Fuck! I knew I was forgetting something.
Dex jacked in more than the rest of us, so the radiation, it did what?
What?
Why does logging on do more radiation to him?
It's not the 60s anymore. We can't just say radiation. We know what radiation is and what it does.
Rockman, let's mega. We'll just find a ladder and go on the outside. Which floor, 2 or quit? Alright, so, welcome to the 30th floor condominium. That might sound scary, but don't worry, the only floors that matter are 1, 2, and 30. All the rest are actually shortcuts for the main bit of the final dungeon. Also, there's an HP memory hidden on one of these floors, but mainly, yeah, we're here for these servers, which, as Mail said, are apparently growing in here.
I fucking looked away for a second. Growing? What?
Yeah, Lan also asked, wait, what? Are you sure? That's not what machines usually do, and they're just like, nah, yeah, it seems like they're growing.
So they're just like getting bigger, they're not like growing them from server seeds.
Servers are actually like a fungus. Radiation makes them grow. I feel like this is just a building from Look Outside. It's just been transported from that version of Canada, and it's just somebody looked up at the unseeable horrors and just started turning into many servers. Alright, so yes, this is our final area. I think the way these kind of jiggle around probably also do something to the file size, but I think it was mostly just the flashing the first section. Alright, and so since everything is so bizarre in Radiation Land, yeah, we just have magnet panels here. Expect the unexpected. We're gonna be getting some pretty strong viruses and some weird layouts. Not, like, terribly weird, honestly. I don't think these are even particularly bad, but... Anyway, here's the radiation. There are certain teleporters that take you to wrong areas instead of the way forward. I wouldn't really say this is much of a maze. Basically, you get taken to the wrong area, you have to repair the teleporter, and then you can move on. And basically that's the reason the other floors exist in this condominium, is so that you're able to access areas like this, even when they're no longer accessible from the world throwing you from one place to a different one. Oh, thank you. I would have been fine with just one of you doing that, but okay. Keep cross O. We've been getting some O chips. O's not a terrible category, but yeah. It's definitely one of the ones that, when it appears early on, you're like, what do I do with this? There are typically some chip codes that kind of just exist where you're not going to really have that much synergy, and oh, of course there's another of these guys. Also, I was actually wrong, there is a second iteration of this chip line for these guys. I thought there was only one, there's two. But yeah, stuff like Z code is typically a little more rare, so you're not really going to have much to synergize. And then meanwhile, as has been mentioned many times, the G code is everywhere. I have an entire folder based off of the G code, because it's known to be, frankly, a bastard. So yeah, I would say this is a fairly straightforward dungeon concept, even though the entire gimmick is that it's not straightforward. It literally takes you to other areas you're not supposed to go to, but yeah, the first game we kinda just had gimmick repeats. It was just the final exam sort of final area, where you just go through areas you've been to with like slightly harder iterations of their puzzles, since it is the finale, but this one is unique. But it is mostly just a pretty long trek through this area. And like I said, it's not really a maze. For the most part, you'll just find the L-bits, and then bring them back, and then the thing will be fixed. But there is a particular snag later on, where you have to have a bit longer of a chain of finding L-bits. But yeah, for the most part, kinda straightforward, the music's okay. I'd say this is a decent finale. But also, it is just a very... Yeah, no, that's not a way on, by the way, that's just a complete dead end. This is just a weird story segment overall. Just the whole bit about radiation is, kinda buck wild. So, I don't know if we'll have enough time during the credits when we get to them to talk about this, but I did have a question, a couple questions, as a person who has not played these games, but has now watched them. Which did you find more interesting between Battle Network 1 and 2?
I feel like you already know the answer to this question. 2 is way more interesting, it's so fucked up and weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's... 1 is fine, and 1 had its share of, like, weird threats. Like, I think one of the first things that happens... Well, the first thing that happens, somebody burns or tries to burn your house down. But, like, right after that, somebody hijacks all the cars and is just having them wrecked constantly.
Yeah, at one point the water supply is frozen, and nobody can get a drink, but once you fix that, surprise, the water was actually poisoned, so now it's a different threat.
So yeah, it's not like Mega Man Battle Network 1 had 0 tonal issues, but something about this game just... it's so much worse. It is, like, impossible to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Now my follow-up question. If you had to play one of these two games, which would you sooner go for?
As much as you and I have complained about 2, I think I'd rather play 2. I think the form stuff is cool.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good. Chips are also pretty good.
Yeah, the, like... they fixed a lot of the stuff you don't think about. Unfortunately, they've introduced new problems that are very obvious. Like pacing.
Yeah, so like, I definitely say I don't like the Freeze Man scenario at all. However, if I were doing that for just, you know, casual play and not for an LP, it'd be a little more tolerable. Because then just be like, okay, I'm tired of backtracking today, I'll pick this up at some other point. I'd be able to stop and not think, no, I want all of this recorded so I know how to just edit this out into the 3 videos it wound up being. I just need to figure out how all this goes together and how to make it look good. And, you know, it also give me a little more time to, you know, sit down and grind without having to worry about getting parts recorded or having what I need for an individual video. I believe I've said this before, but I did not finish Battle Network 2 my first time playing it, and I didn't even get particularly far in it, because I just found it a bit tedious. And that's still kind of true, but yeah, I forced my way through it, and there are definitely good parts to it. I have complained a lot, mostly because of Freeze Man, but well, I think the bosses are a little overtuned, and yeah, there was that whole section. It's definitely pretty solid. I think the dungeon designs are typically pretty good.
So I'm taking a break from this series because I think I can get the 4th game working on actual hardware, but a while ago I've been playing the Phantasy Star series, and like, do you want to talk about tedious? All 3 of the games I've played just have issues with too many fights. For 1 and 2, you're spending too long grinding. I'll give 3 this. I never had to stop and grind at any point. But also, there's no fast travel, and you don't get, like, world traversal stuff until the, like, last 2 hours of the game. And the airship you get has, like, designated boarding and unloading points. So it's... They could have given it to you sooner, and it wouldn't have, like, ruined the pacing of the game or anything. That being said, the license rank stuff feels more tedious than anything in Generations of Doom, I'll say.
Yeah.
Even when there's, like, shit like, okay, we have 6 world maps, they're connected by various points. You're in this one, you have to get to another one, and that means you have to travel across the entirety of 3 world maps. Good luck, idiot.
Oof, yeah.
And that still pisses me off less than, like, here, have 5 fights. Now have 5 fights. Now have 5 fights.
Yeah. I will say there are things that aren't too dissimilar to the licensed stuff in later games, but, you know, stuff like that's going to happen at some point. There's always going to be various tests and whatnot, and moments in the game where it just says, okay, let's see if your deck's decent, but I feel like none of the other games have it quite as bad as this one. There's just something about the license that, because it appears so frequently and is really not that well integrated into the story, like, it's a big thing early on that you get your license, and then it's just, okay, well, I guess we might as well go up a rank so we can go here. It's not particularly interesting as a goal to me. Maybe it would have been more interest- oh god, this one sucks. Airman, please solve this for me. Please, I'm going to be killed immediately, these guys are so fast. Okay, good. I only survived because I accidentally had a good layout. Or loadout, rather. But yeah, like, I don't know, maybe if I was a kid, the concept of a license would be way cooler to me. Like, oh man, I went up a level, that's so rad because I'm young enough to think this is interesting. This is a goal I worked towards and achieved, hooray! But yeah, I don't find the licensed stuff great. But I will say, I definitely can't forget the fact that, like, they did make the main overworld way more interesting. Just having the net not be entirely a GeoCities page is definitely a huge improvement. I feel like in general the layout of the main internet is just better too. And of course having shortcuts, also a big improvement. So like, they definitely did up their game a little bit, and again, I do think the chips are overall better, though. I will fully admit I probably didn't have a great deck throughout this game, and that's on me. I didn't sit down and get chips I might have wanted quite frequently enough. But I think that's also the fault of... I didn't have this quite as harshly as I did with network transmission, but I don't really want to just walk around and grind in this game that much. So, I did have a very similar issue to transmission, where it definitely wants you to sit down and grind sometimes. You do need to just find some enemies, get their chips, practice with them, see if you want to commit to using that in a deck, and kind of get things figured out. But sometimes I just don't feel like that. I do have more of a will to play this game than I did network transmission, I will say that.
It's really easy to just say, like, oh, grinding is bad. Anytime I have to grind, the game is terrible. But I feel like grinding has its place. It's like a tool that the player can use.
Yeah. And honestly, I do feel like it's better in the Battle Network game since you do have the aspect of, like, getting new battle chips and testing them out. Since this is an LP, it's kind of hard for me to do that, just because I need to have points where I can sort of cut out going off screen and getting my folder in order. But yeah, typically I find, the best, times for me to grind are when the story actually, like, slows down a bit or gives you an opportunity to go to your bed so you can save and have just a very definite place to just stop for a moment before moving on. I usually just save state before those, record actually doing that in maybe the next cutscene if applicable, and then I just go back and sort things, and that is, to me, the best time to do that sort of thing, because when I'm in the middle of a scenario, I kind of just want to do the scenario. I don't like stopping when the story is moving, and sometimes in the Battle Network and Star Force games, the story will just kind of move on, whether you're ready to or not. It doesn't always give you those definite endpoints. Sometimes it's just like, okay, you beat the boss, here's the ending cutscene, now it's been a week.
Although in regards to grinding, I will say, at least we've mostly moved past the old RPG convention of like, okay, you're gonna be next to useless for your first 3 levels. So, just go around hoping you keep getting encounters of the weakest enemies until you level up enough to not die in 2 hits. Also, no.
What are you guys doing here? So anyway, yeah, the player knows this, of course, because we saw Proto Man fighting them. But yeah, Gospel seems to have copies of all the Nobbies we've fought. Sounds like they're on some sort of auto program. So yeah, you probably noticed, but I did change to my G folder for these guys. Alright, now of course, this is Battle Network, so we can't fight all three at once, because how would that even work? Everybody would just be tripping over their own gimmicks. Anyway though, we've fought the V3 version of Airman, so this is nothing. He's dead already. I didn't even need Gator, but it helps me get through them quicker. Speaking of quicker, here's Quick Man. So yeah, don't worry, this is not a test of can you fight the toughest version of these Nobbies. Smear frame. This is just, you've gotta fight 3 bosses in a row. Because this is of course a Mega Man game, and you know, sometimes they can't figure out how to do a boss rush, but most of the time they do know how to do a boss rush. And you're still stunned, so goodbye. Entirely unnecessary, but very fun to do.
Honestly, I am just thinking of, like, if they can make a version of a fight that works with all 3 bosses on the same battlefield.
Honestly, I feel like Cutman is, like, the biggest inhibitor to that. Like, he's just got rocks there. That doesn't work for the other 2. It doesn't really work great for you either, but I think everybody would just be annoyed at Cutman, including his own allies. The rest. But yeah, it just makes me think of, somebody did like a hack or something where like all of the Mega Man 2 bosses appear in the same room. And it's technically possible to beat them all, but boy are you probably not going to.
Do that, but also give the enemies friendly fire.
The server, you can jack in.
I just noticed the, like, chair. What, you just sitting watching the servers grow?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of calming in a way, you know?
You can't even fit the whole word quit on the screen anymore.
It's calling us a cutie. Alright, so yeah, I just want to show off floor 4. So yeah, the format of each floor is a little different, but yeah, each of them have a server we can jack into, and that'll lead you to different parts of that one map. But we're actually done with that one. So we did clear pretty much all of the final dungeon in one trip. Let's see, 9th floor, I'm assuming must be where the HP memory is, right?
What do you mean locked due to radiation?
The radiation locked it.
I was going to say, do you mean somebody locked it because there's dangerous radiation on the other side? That'd make sense. But given this fucking game, I guess the radiation just produced a key. And what is this?
Man, it must suck to not have a mouth.
I like to think he talks like Mewtwo did in the Pokemon anime. Mewtwo also doesn't have a mouth, right?
You know, I can't actually remember. I don't think he does.
But like anytime he spoke, he just had that effect over his voice.
Because he's all psychic and all that. So, I'm gonna assume Gospel Leader's hair is the way it is because of the radiation. Because, I mean, it's doing everything else at the moment. So why not make him just flash between green? Land dies, the end. The radiation on the door is 50,000 times overloaded. Man, this radiation's got power levels.
Battle Network writers, be real with me. Did you mean to say electricity? Because if radiation is making land do that, it's too late.
I don't like the looks of this server. So yeah, the first chunk of the dungeon was all just that really large bit. We do have this area, though. We have the fun little spinning gospel logo.
You have to find and delete the radiation program. What does that mean?
So this doesn't actually share the gimmick of the previous area. So at this point, we're pretty much just wandering a more or less normal area. It is as much a maze as any other given dungeon, so... Definitely switch to the area grab asterisk. That's a fun one to get at the end. And we've got some super tough viruses at the end here. It's a lot of similar stuff as to what we saw in the previous area. But yeah, now we can get versions of this more frequently, and with a rock, which makes it worse. Alright, so, check this out. This is hard to do. It might not look like it.
He's getting on you.
If that went on for one more second, I definitely would not have been able to escape that. I don't like that particular encounter is very frequent now. And just a regular up one. We do have some useful stuff here. Area grab asterisk is genuinely just real good. Like, hey, do you want an area grab that just synergizes with everything? Yes, you do. Area grab is definitely high up there for Battle Network utility. This is also a good area to pick up the third version of the cannons, on account of their firing squad here. The only problem is, though, yeah, no, you also have to fight the satellite enemies as well, possibly, so... Good grinding spot is kind of in quotes, in this case. We'll also say, one of the nice things about the Battle Network fans is I feel like they're kind of spiritually the opposite of Dark Souls fans, where you get that certain subset of person. There it is, the radiation level control program. But yeah, you get that subset of person who's like, you're using anything the game provides. No, you've got to do soul level 1 and naked, otherwise you're not playing the game correctly. Battle Network fans, I feel like, their main thing is just, how can I do about 2 billion damage in 3 hits? And that's how they have fun. They like breaking these games. If anything, I feel like my tendency to stick to Gator might make me a little basic, but I don't think anybody is gonna disagree with that tactic either, you know? Gator's infamous for a reason, and again, maybe somebody's like, well, that's kind of the more straightforward, you know, the normie option, but I don't think you're gonna be criticized too harshly for that sort of thing. Also, God, even when I have a folder made for Gator, I cannot get Gator against Nightmare. But yeah, I just had the thought this week because I wound up finding some just boss quick kills. It's just like, yeah, you know, actually, Battle Network fans are the ones who actually do like breaking the game wide open.
Holy shit. That didn't kill him.
Yeah, Gator's only 900 damage. But I did manage to actually take out Magnet Man without removing the middle section. Anyway, hey Freeze Man, you've never been difficult ever, so have fun continuing to never be difficult. You stupid idiot, I hate you.
Forgot that we had to fight wrong colored Dawson.
Yes, yes, you have wind. You're so scary. Goodbye.
Why is
Oh no, the radiation level.
Mr. Prog's coming in.
I just stood up too fast. Yeah, it probably feels about the same as being irradiated. Alright, hey Mr. Prog, what's up? Totter. By the way, this is a point of no return. Just so you know. Totter.
What is Totter?
Are you welcoming me back, or what?
That's Cotter.
I had to fit that in somehow. Anyway, let's save the game, and next time, we finish Mega Man Battle Network 2. Other than, you know, the usual post-game stuff, but story-wise, we're done.
I'm dreading what in the next video is gonna make me scream what the fuck is happening.